Hello, beautiful beings. I believe it's important that we all recognize that we are more than these human lives we are living. To start with, I want to bring up the idea that all of reality takes place in this same expanse, the same space, yet on infinite spectrums of density and awareness. Sometimes we as humans can feel so alone and abandoned. These feelings are deep and real, and yet the facts are not this at all. This expanse in which we are exploring our human lives is only one small reality, the reality of the third density. And this 3D world has been restrained with a frequency matrix that has held and suppressed our natural and innate abilities, bringing us to feel limited or weak and alone, where we are not. In truth, we can never be alone. It seems that we as humans can usually only perceive within this matrix bubble, but can't perceive those higher realms, including our true selves. Yet, those more elevated realms are actually within this same space, but reside within a higher density, frequency, invisible to us. But just because we can't perceive this other density with our physical eyes doesn't mean it's not there. I mention this because I want to assure you that you are actually never alone, even when you perceive yourself to be. And this is not a bad thing, but a very good thing, because these higher levels are based on pure love. I choose to skip over the 4D astral realm in this instance, that realm of disembodied souls and ghosts and parasitic entities, because these have no place in what I'm here to discuss with you. This is because my whole message is, and will always be, that your frequency is your protection and your freedom. Everything is mind. You are your ideas, and you will take those ideas and beliefs with you wherever you go. They define you and create who you are. This is why we come here, for the expression of those ideas. It is our behavior and what we learn here that are the only things that matter, and not the material things. If we can find those things that bring us joy and raise our mood and frequency, we are then fully protected from the shadows of the lower realms. Hold your frequency as high as possible and watch the world around you become a heaven on earth. Okay, to begin, as I mentioned in a previous video, from my first memories as an ET walk-in, I have had a close communication with my galactic family. When I was very young, each night as I closed my eyes to sleep, they would come to me in golden weaving fingers of light, assuring me that everything was fine and I was safe. In the case of a nightmare, they taught me how to escape if I was threatened by, dark entities or fearful encounters. In that circumstance, I was to close my eyes very tightly and visualize a safe place, somewhere I wanted to be. Then to very slowly open my eyes. And I would either be in that safe place or I would wake up in my bed, safe and sound. I was told I would be protected throughout my life. And when it was time for me to go home, I would suddenly become very tired and should lay down on my bed or on the couch and go to sleep. And I would wake up in my immersion pod aboard the Starcraft. They explained that there were junctures within my soul plan where I could make choices. I could choose to go home while I was still young. And if I accepted that choice, they would extract me, actually pick me up, my physical body, and bring it up to the ship through the use of a tractor beam, much like that, the ones that were used on Star Trek, which is another story for another video. What is also another story for another video is the fact that if my 3D body were to be extracted and brought aboard ship, I would then have the chance to meet myself. This is a situation where one soul is able to manage 2 or more bodies at the same time. I'll talk more about this later. Okay, so if I chose to stay in the physical body into old age, at the point of leaving the human vehicle, the body, it would appear to have died through natural causes, just like any normal death. But my soul, my ET body, would simply awaken aboard ship, and I would resume life as it was before I came to Earth, as a projected walk-in soul. I bring all this up to make the point that there were later times in my life when I seem to sense that connection with this galactic knowledge slipping further and further away as I began to identify myself as a very imperfect human girl with only dreams to hang on to. It was as if my galactic knowledge was only a distant fantasy, no longer there to console me. It was so clear and comforting to me as a child, but as the teenage years approached and my body and hormones began yelling at me, I felt so gawky, like I no longer fit into my flesh, like I was squished down into an ill-fitting costume for some play or movie I was in, but without the same script everyone else had. I tried to fit in with the others at school, but was like a fish out of water. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I wasn't ET, and I wasn't human. I felt there was only a small piece of me talking and walking through life. In fact, I had dreams where I wasn't me and couldn't recognize anyone in the dream, including myself. Where was I? So I thought it might be of interest to some of you who've also felt this way, and to provide some knowledge that has helped me to make sense of it all and finally settle into my life and accept the choices that I made previous to coming into this earthly life. This information that I'll share here was only provided to me after coming to the realization that these feelings of not fitting into my life and my body, that this was all exactly as it was supposed to be. All part of my journey here. To accept life as it was and not to fear or resist it. To finally understand that I was exactly who I was meant to be, and my differences should be acknowledged as a piece of my authentic nature, my true self. And I now hope that the information in this video can also be of help to others who have encountered this same distress. Where is the real me? So let me begin with a very simple explanation about the process of walking down into a human body through what is known as the immersion program. And I will just skim the surface of this here, because can you even imagine the depth of technology used in this process? Holy moly, way above the capacity built into my little brain. Oh, and speaking of brains, just as an aside here, the physical brain of a human being is actually a dampening agent, purposely meant to allow through only a certain grade of intelligence or awareness based upon your personal soul journey. This is because we come from source. We are source beings, where all is known to us. And when we come down here, or into any physical life, we come to play the game, to be challenged, and to test ourselves through working from within a limited set of parameters that allow us the obstacles to face in our lives and get past. That's why we have the physical split brain that we do, to set limitations that allow us the greatest challenges for our earth experience. Without a physical brain, there would be no reason to take on a body, human or otherwise, because we would already have all the knowledge and would know who we are and why we came. So there wouldn't really be any reason for human life, no challenge. And to a certain extent, this goes for any physical body, human or ET. Well, although in the fifth densities, their brains are very different than ours. For example, the hemispheres are one structure, not split like humans. Then, when we get into the higher densities, above 5D, there is no need for a brain, as they exist as light. So there's actually no need for any internal organs. Beyond the physical, we are all just glowing orbs of energetic awareness, consciousness. And that light body can take on any shape desired by the soul, or no shape at all. Perhaps a single orb of light. Or, if desired, the light body may still retain the basic humanoid shape of the 3D or 5D being. Oh, wow. How did I get off on all of this? Oh my gosh. I digress. Okay, back to the topic at hand. I was going to talk about the process of walking down into a human body. When this is desired by an ET, the usual method that's used is immersion technology, where the body of the ET stays on the ship or planet in a cryopod or immersion tank in a state of stasis or suspended animation. And the soul of the ET is inserted through agreement of both sides into the body of a human who has been previously prepared for this incoming soul. And this immersion procedure is actually the method customarily chosen by countless ET races. This is because there is always a danger of the seated soul becoming lost in the human role, forgetting who they are and choosing to reincarnate back to Earth rather than returning to their ET family. The immersion program helps to guarantee their starseed a safe return to the body. It also allows the person to choose when to go and under what circumstances, all controlled by the individual itself before entering the pod. Some starseeds using immersion technology have chosen to arrive on Earth with little or no memory. And interestingly, this is just a setting in the pod and can be adjusted as desired. In general, immersed souls tend to have retained a part of their memory, or at least enough intuitive awareness to prompt them to know that they are not from Earth. Those choosing to position this pod setting to no memory at all and accept the veil of forgetfulness is usually because they feel it will be more exciting and suspenseful if totally immersed into the human drama with no previous memories. They are very aware that life on Earth is only a game. Although I can say that while in their human existence, things can become very real and maybe even horrible. And if they had a choice at that time, they would probably choose to opt out. Yet, the interesting thing is that when the walk-in returns to their ship or planet, the majority say that they were glad they went in blind because that was the experience they wanted. And they wouldn't change even the suffering or being killed or dying from disease. I don't know. The reason for sending ET souls to Earth is because the only way to truly understand what the population of a planet needs is from the ground level. This way, the ET crew can communicate with their starseeds to get the real picture of what's going on and what is needed by them to assist. Also, interesting, an additional use for this immersion technology is kind of cool. It's just for entertainment and games, for little short visits into a simulated world, very much like the holodeck on Star Trek. I know, guys, but it's really true. But for a long-term walk-in experience, the ET will lie down naked into a pod or immersion tank, especially designed for this purpose. When the body is fully connected to the equipment, the program will begin to deliver electrical stimuli to the muscles and internal organs to keep the vessel, the body, healthy and from muscle atrophy. The body is then immersed into a liquid which the person breathes into its lungs. This liquid is filled with all the nutrients and oxygen the body will need over the months or even years, perfectly preserving the tissue over the extended stay in suspended animation. This could be for a normal human lifetime, or even for thousands of years. The program will then put the person to sleep, diverting and imprinting the entire sensory experience directly into the brain of the avatar on Earth. It's like a soul exchange where one consciousness leaves and another takes over. In order for the avatar container, the body, to accept the higher frequency, it must have been prepared for the transfer. This most often means that the 3D body has had to be previously abducted and taken aboard the craft for necessary adjustments and that need to be made to adapt to the 5D frequency soul projection. These agreements were made before the birth of the 3D person to later be used as the avatar to a walk-in. In fact, this technology, this immersion technology, has become so advanced now that now the ET can have the sensory divergence experience without even being in a pod, as long as they are in close proximity to the system, like on a ship that possesses that technology. The frequency signal coming from the ET soul is like tuning a radio signal to a receiver of matching frequency, or as close as possible. As the incoming ET soul inserts or projects its consciousness into the avatar body, the person leaving will exit and arrive wherever it is that they've previously chosen, like the other side, or back home to source, or to a home planet or craft. And what's really bizarre is that the individual in the pod, if he wanted to, could actually have his consciousness directed into several avatars at the same time. So, so it's possible that there could be more than one physical vessel, body, directed by one ET soul. More than one body at a time. However, this would usually be in very different circumstances for each avatar, maybe even in differing timelines. This exchange usually takes place within a second, a breath. But for the walk-in, there may be some moments of disorientation or dizziness. They may even believe they've died. But this uneasiness passes usually quickly. Nevertheless, there is a definite phase where the new soul may notice some discomfort, such as feeling like nothing seems to fit anymore. Because upon arrival, they take on the memories of the former owner of that 3D avatar vehicle, body. And so, somewhat expectedly, may not feel all that close or connected to these others in that earthly life, or to their job or family members. They've forgotten their ET life and now have only the memories of the person who lived in this body, yet may feel distant from the family structure or relationships because, in a way, this earth life is all new to them, and they don't yet feel comfortable with it all. However, because the incoming soul is of a higher frequency and awareness, they usually adapt to their situation without much trauma. Another thing, incidentally, I should tell you, if there was a situation where the ship that the ET was lying in, in the pod, if it were to be attacked or in some sort of accident, the immersed individual would be awakened and the sensory input would be returned to that 5D person and the liquid drained from the body, leaving the 3D person without a connection. Yikes! And in the case of the death of the immersed person, the 3D avatar would also die. The human form would simply collapse in death, shocking family and friends. Oh, by the way, I should add here that very often the vehicle chosen for the soul exchange is one that has just undergone a severe trauma or tragedy that has caused them to want to leave, to get away and find peace. Not always, but sometimes. So when the elevated soul walks into that body and picks up the memories of the previous human, she or he fully believes that she is the person that underwent that loss or tragedy. But now within her higher consciousness, she can view that tragedy from a much more scalar view. And although she still believes it was she who experienced the loss, suddenly feels less connected to the trauma. And the entire human body feels such a huge relief from that deep grief, almost feeling as if she's been reborn. an entirely new person, which of course she is. It's like she's seeing the world for the first time. All those things that seemed insignificant before are now in the forefront of her awareness. She's hearing the sounds surrounding her with new ears, noticing everything, the singing birds and the soft breeze, the smelling the air and the flowers. Everything is enhanced with a beauty never before noticed or appreciated. She may spend days doing nothing but taking walks or sitting under a tree or standing in a shower for hours on end. With this new perception, those things she cared about previously or the deep pain she felt before all take a back seat to the exploration of her new life. She may quit her job, leave a relationship, move to another home, another state or country. Friends drift away and new ones may come. This immersion program is very popular with star races right now and happening all over the globe. You know, ETs obviously have been coming to Earth for thousands of years, but it's only fairly recently that this program was introduced. Before that, ET souls who could adapt to the planet would come down in their own bodies for whatever reason. The newer program is much safer for the individual because they can completely immerse themselves in life as a human safely, whether for entertainment or for a specific mission, like the Starseed volunteer program. Although it's understood by them that life on Earth is a dream, an illusion, this does not mean that the life one lives here is false. It is a real experience, a play of consciousness, and it is experience that is important. So, immersed or not, what is of greatest consequence is to remain on the path that we have chosen for ourselves and not try to drive our life, but to relax and let it flow. This is because whether coming directly from source or from the other side, or from the immersion program, it has all been planned beforehand. Before your entrance into a human vehicle. And the intention is to follow that blueprint. We all have a plan before coming here, no matter what process we choose for arrival. A plan meant to function in a way that we most desired it to. If we were to get in our own way by deciding it should be different and make some sort of a detour from out of ego, that diversion from our own pathway could alter our timeline or even set us on a path of destruction. We all brought our frequency with us when we came, along with the knowledge that this life is a temporary stopover no matter how many years we've been here, to learn and bring back that knowledge and wisdom when we return. There is never anything to fear. We are always watched over and loved, even if we may have forgotten or don't believe it. We are always guided. And when it is time for our exit from this 3D world, we will leave. Although this may be seen by loved ones to be a tragedy, the moment we get back, we will understand and recognize this earthly adventure to be our greatest achievement ever. Until next time, bye.